This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Keiss, Mino, and Mark, bringing you all your Defo news and talk. Welcome to Season 3, the Chaos Era. Now let's start the show.
Welcome everyone to episode 107 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this Thursday, June 18th, 2020. We're so glad you're here joining us for all your Defo news and talk. I'm your host, Mark, off from my victory over the villainous Jin Lee in our epic pull battle. We are unfortunately not joined by Mino Spellgood tonight. He's been having some, it sounds like the whole region he lives in, Southern California, is having some internet issues, or his service provider is having some issues. So he tried to get on, but is having some issues. But we are joined by my good friend and yours, Keiss. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. I actually took the day off because I have been having tire issues. For those of you who do not know, New Orleans streets are notoriously terrible because, a city built below sea level tends to have water issues and roads don't stay flat for very long. I drove over some nails and screws, is what I was told. Got the wheel patched up. It did not hold air, so I had to get it replaced today.
Yes, well, I've been not dealing with that, but packing up my office, so that's been a lot of fun today. So we all know how that goes. It's always something with something this or that or the other thing. And, hey, we are joined by another friend of ours. He also defeated Jin Lee in an epic pull battle, and he is Inkwelder of the Tonberry Troupe, tonberrytroupe.com. Inkwelder, welcome. How are you doing? It's good to have you back.
I am doing great, and I feel like I'm going to have to insert some random character bashing with Mino gone, so we'll see what happens. I've got the beer ready to go. So,
are you also ready to take some bad takes?
Oh, sure, yeah, I'm down for it.
Yes, the real reason Mino's not on is because he's no longer on the show after his bad Keiss takes last week. No. We were actually hoping we could discuss that further, but we'll catch up with that later. So, hey, news of the day. We do have a rerun of Zidane's costume, but before we talk about that, last week we introduced you to the Mission Dungeons TCC Challenge. I'm going to throw that up on the screen. In this, we banned Arciela, Vanille, Ferris, Cyan, Belthier, Hope, all the debuffers, Snow, Galuf, Zack, Edge, all the tanks, and Lightning, Aranea, friend Aranea for the regular TCC challenge. And for the extreme challenge, of course, it was bring Chocobo or Spirit Moogle and no friend. Well, you guys beat it again without much of an issue. So here are the winners of the TCC Challenge and TCC Extreme Challenge. Gaze upon that. And if you are listening to the podcast, you can check it out on Macnol's Call to Arms at DissidiaInfo.com. So unlike what Jin Lee said last night, it is Dissidia Info that Macnol runs for us. And just check out all of those runs and some of the other runs in the Call to Arms that are not TCC challenges. So go check out all of those content creators. Pick a few every week to watch. Give them a like, give them a sub if you like what they do. And yeah, follow them. So there's a lot to choose from. Thank you all for participating in that. I'll leave that up here for a little bit. Speaking of Macnol, he always does a Chocobo panel mission guide, and that's on DissidiaInfo.com. So we do have late June Chocobo panel missions, and I believe Yda, Alphinaud, and Zidane are characters you have to bring. You have to do 70 quests. They can be any quest, though, any mission. You have to exchange items, the normal kind of stuff. But yes, Zidane, Alphinaud, and Yda.
The only thing you might have to go back and do is defeat 20 Scorpion types.
Yes.
If you had waited to do Alphinaud's Lost Chapter until the boards came, you probably got it okay, but if you were like some of us and did the Lost Chapter before the boards dropped, did you ran the you hit the scorpions beforehand, so you probably will have to go back and do them.
Are
So just
Keiss's
keep that in mind.
enemies scorpions?
There are some scorpions in Keiss's event, yes. I'm
Aren't the
up to about
bosses
12 now from just doing his event missions.
aren't the bosses scorpion types?
They are Crayclaw
Oh,
types, which is the
Crayclaws. Okay.
another mission panel type.
Yeah.
Defeat 40 Crayclaw types.
Got it. All right. So you might have to go back and get your 150 character board points. I think I had to do that for that. And then go out. I'm going to have to do that because I did finish Alphinau's Lost Chapter as well. So I know I have not defeated that mission yet. So thank you. And then we did Zidane's costume. It's a rerun, and it is available as well with 9,000 gems. So Alphinaud's LC is the first of the events that we're going to talk about tonight. So that brings us Alphinaud, his EX for the first time, and his EX Realization, as well as Yda's EX Realization. They did not get reworks, or they did get reworks?
Neither character got a rework, although Alphinaud's EX and EX Realization is
Yes.
practically a rework in the way it changed the way he behaves.
Correct.
And let me go through Alphinaud first.
Please.
So, as I mentioned, Alphinaud did not get a rework. His base kit did not get touched. He was already 70. But the way his EX changes him transforms the way he functions altogether. His base EX is Obsidian Combination. It's not on a very fast recharge, but once he uses it, he has an instant turn ability that does an AoE Brave plus HP attack that summons a new carbuncle called Obsidian Carbuncle. This thing works differently than his Moonstone Carbuncle in that he gets a different ability that gives him Brave at the beginning of every turn based on his int Brave, and also gives him access to a different Brave plus and HP plus ability. His Brave plus is an AoE Brave plus HP attack that does split HP damage, but also refunds Brave after the HP damage. So he protects himself against Brave breaks, basically. His HP plus is a single target Brave plus HP attack that deals splash damage and also gives him a free ability use while dealing a defense down and poison debuff to all targets. Because of the HP plus, this makes him much more ability efficient, because what you can do is you can use his HP plus into an energy drain on his next turn, HP plus into an energy drain. And if you do that, then you summon Moonstone Carbuncle on his following turn once Obsidian wears off, because Obsidian only has a 4-turn combination duration. Obsidian Combination will be back up, and Alphinaud will basically be able to go right back into his Obsidian Carbuncle mode without spending very many ability uses, just one ability use, basically. The other thing he gets with his EX is a new buff called Shadow Flare that does a aura debuff that is a poison effect on enemies and also a speed down effect, and also just buffs his attack and max Brave. If you realize and fully realize his EX weapon, Obsidian Combination gets stronger. He gets a massive party attack and max Brave aura, 50% to both stats. He starts with his EX ability fully charged, so he can go straight into Obsidian Combination instead of having to wait to build it up. And his Brave plus and HP plus from Obsidian gets stronger, and his Obsidian Combination just becomes a much stronger button to push. I pulled for Alphinaud. I got him. I've been having a lot of fun with him. His EX, as I said, does make him a lot more turn efficient. He's able to maintain his combat longevity much better than he used to. And if you do farm artifacts for him, he is one of those characters that does have Crystal Strength artifacts, Crystal Strength 50 artifacts that you want to farm in order to get the party attack max Brave boosts. If you do that, though, he's relatively flexible. He does a decent amount of AoE damage. He can keep going for almost indefinitely if you are able to be efficient. Downside is you got to be careful of breaks. Both of his carbuncles will be dispelled if Alphinaud is broken while those carbuncles are active, which can really ruin Alphinaud if he loses Obsidian right after he casts it. That basically shuts him out of a lot of free ability uses, several turns of his more powerful form. So be careful of that. You basically have to sit in Moonstone, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in my opinion, it tends to be the weaker form. Note that Moonstone does have its own advantages. It provides different benefits. It can provide some healing in dangerous situations. It only triggers if Alphinaud's health's very low. It does reduce Brave damage for the party, for example. It can provide some battery, but generally I found Obsidian's the better carbuncle to sit in. So I've been having a lot of fun with Alphinaud since he dropped. I used him in Dimensions End Tier 12 without being fully summon boarded. He worked very well there. He provided a lot of benefits, and he worked great. Thumbs up from me. Ink, what are your thoughts on him? I'll probably have some more thoughts at the end, but let me pass it over to Ink.
I'm gonna first ask you if you ran Alphinaud in Entropy 12 with another healer. Or did you run just any other healer? Because I actually
had to run it with Arciela.
Okay, so I tried to run Alphinaud in Entropy 12, and it speaks to a lot of his issues, I guess, or at least from my perspective. So first, he's an amazing hybrid unit, support and magic damage dealer. I won't discount that, but depending on your team, like for example, Celes on my team was dealing more damage per brave hit than Alphinaud was. His hits are really low potency. So he covers magic damage and support for you. I feel like you can never lean on him as a healer if there's a lot of HP damage, so you have to be aware of it.
Yeah, I would say Alphinaud is more of a pinch healer. I didn't cover his base kit. Energy Drain does okay healing, but it's not amazing healing. Moonstone Carbuncle heals in a pinch, but it's not amazing healing again. So it's one of those things where he will help, but he will never be your main source of healing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's this the latest latest event that we're dealing with, where you can sort of run without a healer. I think it's very tricky. So I feel like Alphinaud specifically, like in terms of my thoughts on him, at least, you've got to run him with a battery and potentially a healer, because his hits are low potency. So if I was testing him in Arciela's Chaos, and his hits are dealing like 4,000 damage, and he's got good arts on me as well. I've got 2 attack Aether Flow boost arts on him and a 3rd Aether Flow. So I feel like he should be hitting hard, especially with Porum as another support, and she provides a ton of auras, and he was still just dealing sort of okay damage. So I feel like that battery, probably like a regen effect or a consistent battery, is something that he needs. That said, he's sort of amazing, right? I mean, he just covers so much. I do feel like he was a little overhyped, personally. Just in terms of, I love him for his carbuncle, and
I will
love
point out that he
has
provides a lot of self battery for himself, so he can get around those low brave potencies. He won't shave much, but he will still provide consistent HP damage despite that, especially if you pair him with someone who can buff his int brave.
Oh yeah, that's true, and that's a really good point, right? I ran him with Porum, and I noticed that it was probably not optimal unless she was battering him with Cry or her HP plus or like her EX or something. But on an off turn where she had to battery herself, Alphinaud's turn was, what did he deal, like 30k damage? I mean, and with all those auras, right? I would expect a lot more. Yeah, I think that's really his biggest thing, is like you do want to use Alphinaud with good. You need good team building to use him. He's not like an auto win button. He's not quite as like Arciela. You can press a button and it shuts down the bosses. But Alphinaud, you have to make sure he doesn't get broken, so you want to run him with a tank and keep the attention off of him.
Our friend Black Cloud Strife is reminding us that Alphinaud and Yda, for that matter, do not have their boards currently. They will be getting them at the end of the month, and so he is a little bit underwhelming in terms of the potency because he is lacking his character boards, which he will get here in a week or so. So that's going to improve a lot of his damage dealing power. But he has this. I'm playing. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have gameplay on the screen right now on Twitch, and so I'm in the chaos fight with Yda and Alphinaud and Snow, because of course you need a tank to run these guys. But you don't need a tank, but it helps, obviously. But it is fun to have a character that can have potentially infinite skill uses. Jin Lee, I think it was Jin Lee that did a run in his How to Alphinaud video. Actually did the chaos without using a single skill ability. Just the only skills he did was the free skill. So it wasn't the most optimal run. But it's cool that you have a character that can do that. That mechanic works so kind of flawlessly and interestingly enough. So yeah, I like him, and I've been enjoying using him. I was able to pull him on tickets, so thankfully that's nice. So, but yeah, currently his potencies are not particularly exciting, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider the other character board characters, who is it? Harriet that's running Squall now, like consistently, which is awesome. So yeah, character boards are amazing for them. I do wish that Squex had released character boards for the June units when they came out. So he should be getting them at the end of the month, and that will improve on his flaws a lot, I think. He does have a very nice character board.
I have noted in my own experience with messing with Alphinaud that his Brave Plus has been a safe button for him to push in with Obsidian up to protect him from getting broken while still dealing a decent amount of damage on a single turn. It's not his most efficient turn use, but it's still better than wasting a turn doing nothing.
And I also noticed he could do that and still maintain that. So Alphinaud has this supposed rotation that you can take, and Jin Lee sort of talks about it in his video, which is very good. I definitely recommend it for how to play Alphinaud. But you certainly can Brave Plus inside of that, and you need to burn. You need to use an energy drain instead of a Moonstone at the end, a free energy drain. But you can keep up his infinite skill uses even with a Brave Plus in there. Because normally he relies on his HP plus to grant him a free ability, which you then use Energy Drain, which provides like a 10% heal. It's a very small heal to the party. But then you basically cycle between that and HP plus, and that's why he never needs to use any skills or consume any skills, I should say. But yeah, you can Brave Plus when he's being targeted, and it doesn't. I've been able to not waste a turn with it. It's just after that free energy drain, he has no carbuncle up, so it's sort of a weak hitting energy drain, but that's okay. Obsidian carbuncle comes right back and hits pretty hard right after that. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's go from, we got lots of characters to talk about tonight. Let's go from the hero of the Scions to the hero of whatever expansion she was the hero of. Guess I never played this game. Yda, spelled with a Y. Keiss, can you tell us what Yda got?
The only thing Yda got was her EX Realization. Back during Alphinaud's event, she got her EX in rework, and she got her 70 Awakening, I think, in the first Awakening batch. So she has not been touched at all since then. And she didn't get touched other than her EX Realization here. So what her EX Realization did, and once I talk about her realization, I'll kind of weave it into how her kit works, just as a refresher. Her realization makes it so that her greased lightning effect is now better. Basically, it now provides her stat bonuses just from having greased lightning at all. She gets brave regen, increased brave overflow, increase in brave, increased attack. Own abilities have increased brave gains. Basically, all sorts of improved things. And her Tornado Kick EX ability now gets AoE brave hits. It gets an increased recast speed. She starts with all of her generic buffs up, and she starts with Grace Lightning, so she can go into Tornado Kick plus faster. If you fully realize her, she gets HP splash damage on Tornado Kick. She gets access to a Brave plus plus and HP plus plus. And it just kind of weaves into her basic kit. So her basic kit, for those who don't remember, is that she does not want to be targeted. If she's targeted, her kit kind of falls apart. She wants to try to break units where possible, because what she does is very simple. If she breaks a unit with her Brave plus plus or her HP plus plus, she gets instant turn rate, and her next turn is free. She, in addition to that, Snap Punch becomes Snap Punch Plus after using either of her improved Brave or HP variants. If she uses Snap Punch Plus, she gets Grease Lightning. If she gets Grease Lightning, then her EX ability Tornado Kick becomes Tornado Kick Plus, which gets increased overflow. And that's her basic idea. She wants to use an HP Plus or a Brave Plus Plus to unlock Snap Punch Plus, so she can use that to get Grease Lightning, so she can use Tornado Kick Plus, so she can use that to deal a lot of damage, and then she repeats the cycle. Along with that, she has Touch of Death, which is an okay attack. It's not very strong, but it does apply poison and sap to a single target. Other than that, she's very simple. It's not too complicated. I don't have a lot to say about her because I don't have her kit. She hasn't changed much other than the fact that she just hits a lot harder. Ink, what are your thoughts?
So I've been running Yda a lot, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It might be because I skipped lightning, but Yda hits like a freight train, and it's a lot of fun. She is not as wide role coverage wise as Alphinaud, so I feel like your other two characters do need to cover the other roles. Her sap and poison are amazing, though. They last 9 turns, and so even though she only has 6 skill uses, you basically use it once you get to the boss wave, and you can keep that up throughout the fight. At 9 turns, if you just use it whenever it's falling off, even though it's single target, 3 enemies is probably tough, but 2 enemies, it's perfectly fine to maintain her sap and poison on both enemies throughout the entire fight, which is extremely nice for dealing with break recoveries, for dealing with huge brave gains. I think it's a unique quality that she has. It's very similar to Alphinaud and also Serah, of course, and probably Shantoto. They're the ones that all have double poison / sap effects. But her EX charges in one ability no matter what. Even you could go ability EX just fine. She doesn't have a lot of abilities, so you will burn her out very quickly if you do that. But it does work. I found that, so first off, her HP plus, I know a lot about Yda. Her HP plus has about 70% less potency than Brave plus. So what I found is that when I'm using Yda, when I use her HP plus, I look at how much damage she's dealing, and I figure out what she's capable of shaving with her HP plus. If she can't break an enemy with her HP plus, then it's way better to Brave plus. It has a little bit more potency. You'll be able to hopefully break them and then go into another skill, which is great. The one thing though is that if you use all of her turns after she uses her EX to get a free turn, and you break an enemy, it will take her 7 turns to refresh her EX, which is quite long. But that's all at the expense of 3 or 4 turns. So she's still doing great damage per turn, but you need a buffer on the team. You can't let her buffs fall off. if her buffs fall off, and they will fall off if you do that, if you don't have another buffer on the team. So a lot of the characters that have come out are just very powerful aura bots, and they don't give any buffs to your party. So you have to be careful with her, that you want to keep her buffs up. And she prefers longer buffs because she takes so many turns that she'll actually burn through them. But she needs 3 HP plus to charge her EX without a free turn, and she needs 7 with her free turns to charge her EX. So you can sort of decide from there. But I generally use Snap Punch if I know Brave and HP aren't going to shave. Snap Punch is great to shave. Touch of Death I want to keep on whenever they get used. And I mean, her EX, even outside of synergy, even with minimal auras, like just normal for a team, her EX is absolutely dealing like 180k plus, which is just a lot of fun given how fast it charges.
Yeah,
Do you try to maintain Grease Lightning as much as possible?
No, I don't care at all about Grease Lightning. So the way that Squex coded her Grease Lightning is that the effects from having one stack at 0-3 also apply to her 0 stack. So all the plus version of her EX does is give more overflow generally, which she's still hitting like a truck. If her EX is up and she doesn't have a stack, I don't care. Like if I use Touch of Death and she gets her EX up and I don't have her stack from using Snap Punch Plus, yeah, she's still going to deal like 160 to 180k with her EX. It's not worth wasting a skill to get it. I don't think you need it at all. It is nice when you have it though.
Yeah, we just had in the video. I just ran the chaos with her and Elfie, and with Tornado Kick Plus, she was doing max damage. With Tornado Kick regular, she was doing max damage. Nuts and synergy, of course, but she doesn't have her boards yet either. So, she's just gonna get better again.
I'm glad you actually mentioned that. So one thing that's pretty distinct about Yda with her boards is that she's one of 2 characters, Kefka's the other one, that gets a sap boost on her character board. So sap works off of your max brave, and so you sap generally 10%. That's consistent with sap. But she will actually, with her board, sap 20%. So with an average max brave of like 40k that she generally has, maybe sometimes a little more, she's sapping 8k from both enemies. It is an extremely potent, like that's near max of what you can sap, like very close to 9999. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and I don't even know if somebody who was watching can tell us if I wasn't paying attention to her buffs to see if they fell off or not. In synergy, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, I mean she's a lot less tied to her turn order than you would think she would be. Obviously, yeah, if you can break a character with the HP plus and then go into the Snap Punch plus and then go into the Tornado Kick plus, I mean that's the ideal rotation, right? But it doesn't really matter if that's not how it hits. And you do want to use that Touch of Death because especially if you're partnering her with somebody like Alphinaud, that triple that triple poison / sap is really powerful, especially in that fight I was just fighting, because it just eats through that brave. When your normal attacks, although her Tornado Kick eats through that brave anyway. Her potencies are so good. So I really enjoy her. Yeah, I really enjoy her. I'm glad I purpled both Alphinaud and Yda on that as well. So let's go to podcast polls. We're actually going to be doing something different with podcast polls thanks to Quetz from MateriaBot fame. Quetz actually does that for us and codes that for us. So go check him out and support MateriaBot. But we're going to be testing, I think we're not going to start until Burst Era, but we're going to be testing global podcast polls. So across all the Discord channels, if the admins are interested, everyone can share the podcast polls or the banner polls, poll polls. I probably won't call them podcast polls. The poll polls. and then we'll be able to tell you a little bit more of the wider audience. So for this, we had 7 individuals willing to pity, 3 willing to use gems, 53 willing to use tickets, like myself. I didn't press that in there, though. And 15 skipping this banner. Of those who got Alphinaud, only 1 keeping it EX, 3 just realizing it, and then 43... well, 45 here, 44, fully realizing it. So a lot of people hyped on that. Of those who had or pulled Yda, 19 or 18 keeping it EX, 16 just realizing it, and 15 fully realizing it. I think with both of these characters, did we say Alphinaud can kind of work right at 1 out of 3, but really with his potencies,
At this point, yeah. I would never recommend someone not fully purple a character. If they're gonna invest ingots, just invest the 3.
Right.
If you're gonna invest any ingots, invest the 3. Otherwise, don't invest any. It would be my recommendation at this point, considering how far along in chaos we are.
Yeah, I mean, any 0-3 fits into an entropy stage. You can find a place for any 0-3. If I can fit 0-3 Ash somewhere, yeah, you can absolutely find a place for a 0-3. And I don't find there's any value in 1-3ing a character at this point.
All right, well, let's move on to the chaos fight. Of course, every Lost chapter does have a chaos fight. This particular chaos fight, which I just fought, had some lizards, and they're kind of annoying. But Keiss is going to talk through a little bit of what this fight is, and then we'll talk about the TCC challenge.
I'm going to try to keep this very, very brief, although we didn't spend as much time on the characters for this banner as much as we thought we would, so I can probably spend a little bit more. This is a 2-wave chaos fight. There's no elemental resistances or immunities to worry about, although the event boss, the glow lizards from the second wave, are highly resistant to ranged attacks, so keep that in mind. The first wave is actually from Renoa's event, the Swarmfly. It has 2 small adds that don't have much HP, but it will resummon them frequently if you kill them. Big thing to keep in mind is that it likes to drop a lot of poisons on your party. It likes to inflict some speed down and turn rate down. It's not too dangerous from what I saw. It's just a little bit of a nuisance. Once you kill the big thing, the small ones die if you've already killed them once before. So just focus down the big one. If you have HP splash damage, the small ones will die. The real threat is the second wave. These things, along with being highly resistant to ranged attacks, also are immune to attack down, defense down, int brave down, and max brave down. Their major mechanic is that they do something called guard resonance, where they put themselves in a stance where they reduce all brave damage taken by 90%. That means that you're dealing 10% of the expected damage until you are able to break them. And this is just a flat reduction. The only way to get around it is by finding a way around it by one way or the other. Poison, sap, gravity, true damage attacks, damage multipliers such as something like Aranea's Vital Crusher, Leo's bonus damage debuff, elemental weakness manipulation, that sort of thing will do it. Or you can just let them whiff an HP attack through blind or evasion will work too. And then breaking them once their brave is at 0. Once you break them, their defenses go back to normal. They will do this multiple times during the fight, so you got to be ready to deal with it a couple times. I did say 90%, Mino.
Mino did a lot of research on that.
Yeah. Keiss, how did you tackle this?
I think I brought Snow, Aranea. No. Who did I bring for this?
Probably
I think I
Aranea.
used Fujin. I used a Wind Enchant Imperil team. Yeah. So I used, I think, Fujin, Alphinaud, Arciela maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So basic idea was I use Fujin to enchant the party with wind and imperil wind, and then use that to get past their brave damage reduction and break them before they could kill me.
Yeah, the stream just saw who. I just played it right now with Snow, Alphinaud, and Yda, and yeah, Snow's a great tank for this. He does eat a lot of those attacks and can offer healing, and with her synergy boost, Yda can eat through that brave, so that's a lot of fun. Ink, any fun team comps you want to share about what you did? I think you did a TCC challenge. We'll get to that here in a second, but any insights from the fight you want to share?
Oh, did I? I don't think I did TCC challenge. I haven't been doing them because I prefer to just build a balanced team and not torture myself. But I think the fun team that I did was Yda with Zack, and I used Setzer so that I did not need a healer. Setzer is resisted heavily in the last wave. His red cards were dealing 4k HP damage. It was pathetic, but he can alternate with his EX and stuff. So it worked out, and freezing them prevented them from dealing any damage. And I feel like having Zack or Zack, Snow, or Celes. Celes was in my Sabin run, of course, for FF6 love. But having any of them negated the damage, so it was easier to break the glow lizards after they attacked. I did try running with Galuf, and it was a lot harder, just because he didn't always dodge it. It's a magic attack. So whenever he didn't dodge, you needed to shave that back down. And it was frustrating. I would say it required a little bit more RNG luck, probably.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. So let's go to the TCC challenge. Mino did a 5-hour live stream. You should be able to still watch that on Twitch Video On Demand for a day or so. And tested out I believe that was on this event, tested out the chaos several times until he could kind of come up with what he felt was the best TCC challenge, of course, with our team. And I think Black Cloud was on that stream as well, so you can check out that 5-hour stream. It was fun. The band characters, of course, were Synergy, Celes, Alphinaud, and Yda. And then Arciela, I believe that is Serah with her poison, Exdeath with his true damage, Fujin with her enchant and peril, Bartz with his gravity attacks, Snow and Galuf and Zack for their tanking, and Lightning and Aranea because they're good, and friend Aranea for the regular challenge. And then for the extreme,
I want to mention that we somehow let Gilgamesh through, even though he had all that gravity too.
Well, I watched Masalento. Masalento's on here, Masalento Games on Twitch and YouTube. I watched him try very, very hard to get Gilgamesh through that fight. It was rough. Greg needed a little bit of help. So, yeah.
There's a reason I didn't try myself.
Yeah, there's a reason we didn't ban him. Poor Greg needs a little bit more help there. But not all of his attacks do that gravity either. So it wasn't as helpful as maybe some of the others. And then Extreme Challenge was use Chocobo or Spirit Moogle and no friend. So that was the TCC Challenge. A few less than normal. Actually, we had very few do the regular challenge, and you can see them on there. I also want to point out
that despite the fact that who was it in their discussion that was pushing for Caius to be banned for this, and I said no, he's not going to dominate this TCC challenge, despite the fact that he can push breaks through because he's too conditional. He doesn't have enough ability uses to make it a solid, consistent thing. Was it Mino I was arguing with?
Perhaps, yeah. I forget. There was somebody I was
There's only one extreme TCC challenge or TCC challenge that was able to get Caius to work for this.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, two. There were two total. JAB 1000 and World Challenger. So hats off to you two guys for getting Caius to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and about twice as many extreme runs as regular challenge runs. So, but this was a challenging one. So, congratulations to all of you. And I know Masaleno said on stream that he felt this was the hardest yet of the TCC challenges, which was what Mino was going for. There are just so many good characters that it is hard to do these challenges and make them actually challenging. So it's always fun when we're able to do that. But yet people are still actually able to beat it. And as you see, there's 27 or so people who were able to do the extreme.
Okay, Mark, I have to say this out loud for Mino. I was saying Caius, not Keiss.
Yes, you cannot bring Keiss into the challenge because he is a new character. So thank you for all of you who did the TCC challenge. Hold on to your hats for the new TCC challenge. We will announce it here in a little bit, but let's move.
I've already started saying it wrong. I'm sticking with my pronunciation. Sorry, guys.
Let's move to not the Caius event, but the Keiss event. Keiss is nice. His event, reliable.
You can all blame
partner.
Mino for this. He's the one who tricked me into it.
Keiss is nice. That is confirmed. Don't argue with me in chat. It is Keiss. We watched all of the 35 minutes he's actually in that game. So all of you who say Keiss is my favorite character are lying. None of you even played that game on the Wii. Actually, a few of you probably have because of Beach Party. It is the only Final Fantasy. Well, I guess Final Fantasy X has some Beach Party elements, but yes. The adventures of Lael, Keiss, Belle, and Amita Tillion, and the other character whose name I forget, in the Crystal Chronicles, Crystal Bearers on the Nintendo Wii. A game that most of us have not played, but an event that most of us did pull on. So we got a new character, Keiss, and Zidane got a rework and an EX realization, and he already had character board, so he's gotten a whole bunch. Kreiss, why don't you bring us through Keiss?
Oh, this was exciting for me because Zidane's probably my favorite protagonist from the series. So Zidane got a rework and a realization, so he got a nice set of changes with this. Big changes to his base kit. Number 1, his Brave Plus got better, now has more Brave hits, hits stronger. Number 2, Stiller Circle 5 now does AoE Brave hits before a single target Brave hit. Sorry, I'm just blanking. It's more overflow, stronger Brave hits. Free energy now does HP splash damage, more Brave gain, more Brave hits. The plus versions are just stronger variants, more HP splash damage on free energy plus. If you realize his EX weapon, Booster 8 gets a lot stronger. Big difference is Booster 8 gets a plus variant. The plus variant gets HP splash damage and more Brave hits. In addition, the big change is that Booster 8 now applies Thieves' Mark to all targets, just like Stellar Circle 5 and Free Energy do. In addition, it also does a couple other things. It makes it so that non-targets become launchable. So now Zidane makes all enemies launchable in a batch rather than just a single target launchable. If you fully realize and beyond that, he starts with his EX gauge full. He starts the fight with Thievery active. Every wave, he applies his special debuff Thieves' Mark to all targets at the beginning, which is a huge bonus to it. Makes it so that he does not need to waste time setting up his debuff, which is a relatively nice debuff. It's a small attack and max Brave down, but any bonus is a nice bonus. And if you fully realize him, he gets access to a stronger Brave plus, access to a nice HP plus that extends all of his buffs by 1 turn when he uses it, and also access to a stronger variant of Booster 8 and Booster 8 Plus that does more HP splash damage. In addition, he gets a Mug ability that replaces his Brave Plus after using Booster 8. Mug is an instant turn rate, no turn count ability that does gravity damage, gives Zidane Brave gain followed by Brave hits, then an HP attack. Zidane retains the Brave after the HP attack, so he deals the HP attack but does not lose the Brave he dealt. And then he gets another turn right after that. He doesn't lose his buff duration. So it's basically a free turn where he does damage, shaves Brave, and then gets to take another turn immediately. This basically shores up all of his weaknesses. he now has a better way to dump Brave. He's still ridiculously fast. He is able to AoE Brave Shave on demand if necessary. He can single target Brave Shave. He can do AoE HP damage on his EX. He can do AoE HP damage on a second skill. He applies decently strong speed down, generic speed down and defense down. He applies a unique attack down and max Brave down. Overall, he's a pretty solid character. He always had these notable strengths. His character board makes him a little stronger. Notable things his character board brings: if you fully character board him, he increases party HP damage dealt during launch sequences with booster rate. So if you want to use him in launch teams, make sure you fully character board him so you get that increased launch damage during his launches. Second thing to note is that he does have a small party attack aura if you equip his World of Illusion passive. It's a small attack and max Brave bonus. It's not necessary, but it is a nice little bonus that he can bring to the party. Another thing to note before I'll pass it over to Ink is that Zidane is a character that, because of the number of weapon passives he has, he can easily cap right now on his CP if you have everything. I would suggest picking and choosing passives to remove. A couple things I would suggest are a couple of his crystal passives that are conditional. For example, he has a speed bonus passive that activates for 1 turn upon breaking a target that you can skip because Zidane's already so fast and has high turn rate. He does not really need that extra speed. You can also drop another passive he has that only gives him a slight bonus to his attack for 1 turn if he acts first at the beginning of a wave. It's a very conditional bonus that only lasts for 1 turn. It's easy to drop. If you're running an all-male team, you can drop his Crystal Strength 50 because it is only active and only improves his attack if he has female characters in the party. So check your party, get rid of that one. He has the Wolf bonus passive that you can drop. Hate 13 is mentioning. Yeah, Zidane has a lot of
he has
gimmicky
that
passives that you can drop to
wolf
make room for his
passive.
better passives. So keep that in mind. I fully realized him. I've been having a lot of fun with him, but I have not had a lot of time to experiment with him outside of Synergy yet. I just want to say that I think this makes him a much stronger, well-rounded character. He fills a lot of roles very solidly. So he does some great things. Let me pass it over though to Ink so he can put his thoughts out there.
Sure, and I won't rant in this section, but give me a chance to rant if it's okay. So I love that with his character board, his skill 1 overflows 200%. He has 10 uses of it. That's insane. It's AoE shaving. There were people that pointed out, like, hey, why doesn't his skill 1 deal split damage or anything like? No, it's so much better that it deals single target damage. Even in no matter any of the content, he's dealing 70 to 99k on all of his stellar circles, which is incredible. His max Brave is insane. He has higher max Brave than current JP burst characters. I mean, it is ridiculous how high his max Brave is because of the max Brave buff from his EX is at the 5 level, which is the highest max Brave you can get. I love how versatile his kit is. In these characters that have sort of like an AoE shave and another skill that is a single target shave with splash makes them very versatile characters. Like you can bring them to a fight and you feel more comfortable. You don't have to worry about, oh, they can't shave this or they can't shave 2 characters at the same time. It can be very dangerous for certain chaoses, and Zidane is really flexible. I love his debuffs are ridiculous. 40% speed down is tied for the highest in the game. If you use him with other popular characters, these aren't even niche characters. If you pair him with Arciela and Ramza, which a lot of people invested in and are using, that is 90% speed down to the boss. And will generally give you so much control in a battle that it removes an insane amount of the risk of a chaos fight. His defense debuff is great. I asked because there's actually a lot of parallels. So I pinged Slide, PH. Slide runs Laguna in nearly every chaos, amazingly. And I asked Slide, just point blank, what do you think is the contribution? Like, why do you think you've been able to run Laguna in so much chaos content? And I checked with him and he said it was okay to quote him. Specifically that his debuff stats, high potency debuffs, and the type of debuffs that he has. Zidane has the exact same debuffs. He has less attack, but he has more defense down. And their speed debuff is the same. It's tied for the most. So if you consider that Laguna has been able to work this far into chaos and never really carried, like Slide manages to work him in. And I'll get to a rant after I let Mark and Keiss talk more. But the fact that he's had that much, that he has that much going for him from a debuff perspective, I feel like his debuffs are undervalued and sort of turn him into this really great damage dealer slash debuffer role that I feel fits in with a lot of teams. Also, how can you not like someone that gets powered up when there's females in the party? That's pretty cool. But anyway, I will stop talking and let Mark talk.
Yeah, I think both Keiss and I have our Zidanes fully purpled. I'm using mine on stream right now as I go through the content. So I have mine fully character board, fully summon board. I have the World of Illusion weapon. I have the Mannequin weapon, ML bead. Zidane is one of my favorite characters as well. And I love Final Fantasy IX as well. I know Masaleno's here. He loves Final Fantasy IX, but he's really good. I mean, we're in this era where everybody's really good. And, if you really were, thinking, I mean, with characters like Yda and Zidane and some other characters we've had, you could probably get through without pulling a lot of these hyped characters that we're all pulling for, right? Although I pulled for all of those characters. So I'm not the best person to say that. But these characters are really good. They're getting looked over. They're getting glossed over. But, I haven't had I haven't had really any time. As you see, I'm playing the Cosmos. So I really haven't had a lot of time to play this event. Did my pull battle last night and then had to upload the videos, so couldn't play. And I've been working all day. But so I really haven't had a time to kind of figure out how best to use them. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I'm glad somebody said the Wolf Slayer thing. I just removed the Wolf Slayer passive. Yeah, that's not helpful at all. Yeah, Keiss, I know you have him maxed out, right? How are you liking him so far?
I have Mannequin weapon, World of Illusion weapon, boards, decent artifacts. I have him fully set up, and I've been loving him so far. He is a monster right now, and honestly, as I said, I haven't had a chance to try him out of Synergy yet. I've only been able to use him in his event and finishing up farming summon boards, but he's been working really well. It's the way he works is basically the way he's always worked. He just applies his debuffs, he deals damage, he sets up launches and dumps Brave and makes sure everyone is dealing a lot of damage. His defense down is not the strongest in the game, but it's nothing to scoff at. It's a lot better than other characters bring. It's not the strongest, but it is nothing to laugh at because it still improves other characters' damage quite a bit. And Zidane is one of those characters that he's such an all-rounder in the amount of damage he deals and his stats that he works okay wherever you stick him as long as he's not highly resisted because of melee attacks. And I I don't know what to say. He's out of monsters like Keiss and Arciela and Fujin this month. It's hard to convince someone that he's worth going for over them, but he's still an amazing character, just surrounded by a lot of other amazing characters because he just brings so much to the table with his full kit now. And again, that increased HP damage dealt on launch that he gets from character boards is nothing to laugh at. I believe Dark Knight Cecil got that with his character boards too, right?
Yep.
And people who character boarded Dark Knight Cecil have been going nuts with that this whole month because they've been saying how much that just rocketed his damage through the moon. And Zidane got the same treatment, and it's done the same thing for him along with his realization. It's just turned him into a terror. He doesn't have the same battery, but he still just does so much damage throughout his whole kit. And remember, he might not get ability refreshes, but he has 18 total ability uses. After his EX, he just gets a free ability use that does not waste Brave, so he can choose what to do with that Brave after he uses basically a free turn. It's wonderful. He can keep his buffs going as long as he needs with his HP plus, which is not something everyone can say. He has a lot of generic buffs, but he can keep them around as long as he needs to, as long as they're not being dispelled. He has so many strengths.
So, Ink, you were
He really
gonna
does.
share something?
Well, I've had enough to drink, but so I mean, Keiss hit on some of it, right? Is he the best character of the month? No, he's certainly not the best character of the month. His role is specifically melee damage dealer and debuffer. He deals great in whether it's single target or AOE. It doesn't matter. He still works perfectly great. Although he's probably better in AOE content, but for all the content creators that said that Zidane is bad, that he's meh, that he's skippable, that he brings down the value of the banner, their content is bad and you should probably unsub because they're not doing enough research to guide you properly. Just going to say it. There's absolutely nothing bad about Zidane. I've watched probably 4 Lufenia runs with him. Is that as much as his banner mate? No, it's not. But you know what? His banner mate's broken. We'll talk about that in a minute. The fact that he can do all of that is he's probably more versatile than Yda, who I just spoke highly of. I didn't purple Zidane, even though I pulled him. But I feel like he has so much going for him that if you like the character, if you wanted a melee damage dealer and debuffer, he will not disappoint you. He goes past the burst era. When burst comes out and we get brave damage reduction, he's still working fine. He works in Lufenia with non-boosted characters, with characters that don't have BT weapons or anything. They're not carries whatsoever. The fact that he just adds a lot to the party with his debuffs and his damage. The fact that his damage keeps up. I was watching a video of him.
Oh, that's one thing I forgot to mention, Ink. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Zidane gets he can apply his own weakness damage multiplier through his Thief's Mark. He exploits weakness damage because of that. So he can get over that brave damage reduction a little bit thanks to that. And it can multiply with other forms of brave damage multipliers. So that helps him a bit once the brave damage reduction stuff starts kicking in. I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's a great, I mean, look at characters that deal weakness damage and the fact that he does it so easily because it starts at the wave, that he gets the debuff. And it's also trivial for him to upkeep, right? Completely.
All of his abilities apply it.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that said he's bad, they have no idea how to analyze a character kit. Literally zero idea. And it's not even the level of research that that we like Tonberry Troupe does. I mean, just do a search for Zidane in any of the later content used in like Garland's Lost Chapter, used in multiple Lufenia stages with various characters, never the same team necessarily. No one, like, nothing cheesed or broken, not carried, dealing considerable debt. Like, I was watching a video of Caius Lost Chapter, which just came out recently within the last month, and he's still dealing 90 plus K damage from Stellar Circle. And yeah, I just feel like anyone that insulted him is basically drinking his banner mate's Kool-Aid and just assumed that he was a terrible character. There's no reason why he's a terrible character. I think that anyone that invests in him that wanted to will use him for as long as they want to. He just has that kind of flexible kit that affords it. He's certainly not a must pull, but I think that people would enjoy using him. I don't like FF9 at all, sorry, which is why I haven't purpled him, but I could totally see purpling him in the future just to have fun with everything that he brings to the table. So
yeah,
close
the
rant.
views of the Tonberry Troupe do not reflect the views of the Crystal Chronicles podcast.
They do reflect the views of this co-host, though.
Oh well, speak for yourself. No, I agree. Of course, as I talk about, I love all of our content creator friends, and I watch all of the videos and retrospectives and informational kind of things, especially. And oh yeah, a lot of, I mean, with the Keiss hype, there was a lot of skipping over other characters, and it's hard. I mean, we're going to talk about Keiss a lot here, I'm sure, in a minute. And we're going to kind of come to the same conclusion that everybody else did, is that he's great. But that doesn't mean that Zidane is bad, or that, just because Alphinaud is good, that Yda is bad. There aren't necessarily winners and losers on these particular banners. All of these banners are good. And hey, why not have a banner where both characters are equally good? But yeah, saying Fujin and Keiss and Zidane do the same things is not true. I mean, right? It's like saying all damage dealers do the same things or all supports do the same things. Yeah, I mean, they all have some similar mechanics, but that doesn't make them the same. I was having, I don't remember if the conversation was on our Discord or if it was on Facebook, but having a conversation about team building with some of our folks, and kind of getting from the MMO folks especially, kind of getting the idea of really tight character roles out of your head when you play this game, since there's almost no characters. Now there's a few that are just specific, this is what they do. I mean, Yda is a damage dealer. I mean, that's what she does. But a lot of characters, I mean, Keiss, for example. Keiss has all kinds of weird utility and support. Zidane has all kinds of utility, debuffs, launch, right? A lot of characters have a lot of different roles. And so team building is not just as simple as damage dealer, support, tank. Damage dealer, support, something else, right? There's a lot of variations to team building and understanding these characters. But yeah, especially when you have a character who's got their character boards, who has extra weapons. Now, yeah, that's an extra investment, but that means they're that much better. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll catch myself with the notion that, hey, look, we're how many years into this game? The character kits are getting very complicated.
Yeah,
there's a lot to them. There's a lot of reward for balanced team building, and I feel like the TCC Extreme Challenge shows that. It demonstrates sort of these interesting, unique teams that you can run to counter boss mechanics. And so I won't fault anyone for that, like, didn't analyze Zidane's kit properly. But going out to directly say that he's not good is where I have a problem. If you say that he's a melee damage dealer to buffer, and he's probably good comparable, but is not like a chase unit, great, that's fine, that's fair. But don't say that he's bad. There's no data that supports that whatsoever. And I feel like GL will have some Zidane champions. Who is it? Leviax 7. He's run Zidane in 21 chaoses pre-EX Plus. Does that not show the value of what his kit is capable of? Yeah.
I agree. Well, there's another character on this banner. His name rhymes with ice or nice or lice, and he's everyone's favorite. It's hard to imagine how many people just have him as their favorite. And his name is Cloud. So his name is Keiss. Cloud is on this banner. But what did Keiss get? Because he's new. What does he do?
He got a kit, and it's complicated. So thanks for making me have to deal with this.
You're welcome.
So Keiss and Mino kind of said this in chat earlier when we were talking about something else. I don't remember exactly what. Keiss does something that is completely different from what anyone else does. He is kind of a launching character, but he does not launch on his own. He sets someone else up to launch, and then he takes advantage of that launch to do things during it. That's the way he works. Basically, what happens is, let me go through the basics of his kit and how it works, and then I'll explain the way he's supposed to work. His skill 1 is called Silky Throw. It's a basic Brave plus HP single target attack, deals HP splash damage, um, gives him a unique buff that increases critical hit rate, um, and also gives a small party aura to attack and max Brave. His second skill is his unique skill. It's a single target attack that does Brave and HP damage, and it batteries the party based on HP damage dealt. What Keiss does after that is that he chooses an ally that he moves his turn to be after, and then he puts a buff on that ally called Smash Support. When that ally takes their turn, that ally will trigger a launch attack if they attack any target. This It also makes it so that that character cannot be broken um, by an attack. So basically, Keiss makes it so that character will act, they will launch something, and they cannot be broken, and it cannot be stopped. And because Keiss has moved his next action to be immediately after that character, Keiss will get to act during the launch. And when Keiss acts during the launch, he gets access to a special Brave and HP action instead of the normal Brave and HP actions that most characters get. The first one is called Silky Chase, which reduces the target's Brave to 0 if the target is not already broken, batteries the party based on Keiss's max Brave, and then inflicts the target with a debuff called Fitted Enfeeblement, which reduces their defense and speed. If he uses the HP variant, he batteries the party by 20 by a amount of his max Brave, and then deals an HP attack. So this is pretty strong because usually you don't get a battery as part of the launch in the middle of the launch, and you just either deal Brave damage or you dump HP. Third thing he gets is his EX ability, which is just an AoE Brave plus HP attack, but it does give him a unique buff called At the Ready, which increases all HP damage dealt during launches and chase attacks, and also reduces enemy speed. He also gets access to a Brave plus and HP plus that battery the party based on his max Brave, along with dealing more Brave hits, and also, the usual stuff. If you realize his EX weapon, his EX ability will delay targets. He gets better stats. He starts with all his buffs. Sky High will extend his own personal buffs by 2 turns upon use. And he will get access to improved variants of all of his Brave and HP pluses, which basically just improve the batteries and the Brave hits. So that's the basics of how he works. The basic idea is that Keiss wants to set up someone else to trigger a launch for him and others to take advantage of, and for everyone to deal a lot more HP damage during the launch. This means you need to be cognizant of when it would be a good time to launch, and you want to make sure that you do this in the right order. So you do not want Keiss to activate hero support when only he will be able to take advantage of the launch, for example. You want to make sure that he and another character will be able to take advantage of the launch. The other thing to keep in mind is that Keiss on his own does not do a huge amount of damage. He does okay damage, but his real power comes from increasing launch damage because of that huge increase in HP damage dealt during chain attacks. So you want to exploit that as much as possible. And remember, it doesn't just increase the chain attacks that he triggers; it increases all. Pairing him with another launcher can do that. At most, Keiss can trigger 8 launches on his own. He has 5 base uses of his second skill, Hero Support. He also has 3 additional ability uses, which recover 1 use of Hero Support per use, so he can get a total of 8 uses. It's okay. But 8 uses for a single gimmick of increasing damage for an otherwise mad damage kit when he doesn't bring anything else beyond that to the table beyond some increased crit damage isn't so much. So basically, from my understanding, you want to build him around the idea that you set him up with someone who will also be able to exploit launches in some way. I did not pull for him because I'm not a huge launch monster. I don't mind characters that have launches as part of their kits because I've pulled, for example, Caius, I've pulled Fujin, I've pulled Zidane, but I don't like characters where it's the main aspect of their kit, such as Dark Knight Cecil or Lael, for example. So I skipped Keiss. But I know there's other people who know more about it than me, so I'm going to let Ink fill in the holes that I might have missed. Ink, could you explain what I missed on Keiss?
You got a great deal of it. I think one of the main things is that he is extremely flexible. The problem with that flexibility is that you actually need to know how to build a team to use it. So you can't, he's not going to carry your 2 garbage characters. He's not going to carry two other damage dealers. You have to properly build a team around him. He synergizes with so many different kinds of characters, but you have to be aware of it. I can't even say the number of Keiss videos that have been shared across Discord lately. Nearly every single one of them had someone asking, "Can you please explain what's going on? How is that happening?" Because he has a complex kit, which is insane that happens. But literally, multiple people, even great players, people that do TCC challenge runs and extreme runs, are like, wait, what is happening in this video? This is insane. So while he does have 8 launches, 8 uses of his skill 2, he synergizes so well with AoE characters. Or counters, for that matter. I don't know how many good counter units. Fujin is obviously great. She's his best friend. But in terms of other counter characters, when he uses his skill 2, he gives them the smash support buff. And basically any attack that they do, even if it's before their next turn, that's why counter works, will deal 50 chase units damage to anyone that they hit. So where that gets great is, let's just consider Shadow as a counter character. You give smash support to Shadow. Let's say Keiss was about to go and the bosses were right after him. Shadow's behind them. He jumps behind Shadow. The bosses attack Shadow. Shadow manages to evade. He attacks them. His counter basically makes that enemy launchable right away. It won't initiate the launch. Counters don't initiate launches. That's useful. And the same thing, like if you consider Rem, if you run Keiss with Rem, Rem using her HP plus is great because it batteries the party for the launch that she does. And Keiss continues to boost that damage that's dealt. But she also could use her EX.
I'll mention that when I was doing my summon board grinding with my 15 CP Keiss, I would actually have him use his skill 2 on my Ishtola, who was my carry unit. And I just have her do her HP plus into the launch after the skill 2. And that was working really well for me.
Yeah, characters and I mean that's why Fujin is so good with him, is because she has a batterying HP plus. And she also, the rest of her kit is AoE, whether it's splash or AoE hits. You can use Fujin to, like, her skill 1, she would launch one of the enemies and make the other one launchable. So you actually can get up to 16 launches with characters if they were AoE or had counter elements, which I think is really cool. So the other thing that I want to point out, I keep a list for Tonberry Troupe, we ask JP players for help on every single infographic. Well, I have 21 players lists. Under half of those had Keiss. So yes, he was hyped. He was great. He is not at all required. Literally under half of them, and it's because maybe they didn't play our favorite game, right? The game that we all know that we loved. He made us laugh in that one moment when he was with Lal, and it was great. But I mean, he got skipped by a lot of people. So yes, he's extremely good. I think that there's no reason if you don't have Fujin, if you don't have a launcher, I don't think that that's a reason to skip him. I think a reason to skip him is if you need other roles, like you need supports and other things, then that's great. But I do think that he synergizes with enough characters that he is great unto himself. But I also think that in a month, when people do Keiss runs, some people with the exact same team will be max score, and some people will barely get through score requirement just because the skill level on his kit has a very high ceiling. But I do think that he's a very cool character. I pulled him. I did not purple him. I did not even max his base EX yet, just because I want to see if we get additional ingot rewards or anything like that. Otherwise, I'll just keep him on the bench until I need him, because I think that current GL content is fairly trivial for him and for most of us that build balanced teams. But I love how much team building rewards players that use Keiss, and I think that his power is, I mean, it is the ceiling. There is no one that has as much power as he does when you build around him and you use him. So. I don't have purple Keiss, but I know Mark does. So, Mark, what are your thoughts on?
Well,
Keiss?
I've not had I've not had a lot of chance to use him. But in the limited time I've used him, I kind of see what I thought I was going to see, which is one of those characters that can do a lot. But to really play well is going to take a lot of time and, just a lot of not even skill, as opposed to just kind of testing and seeing what works and what doesn't, and kind of how you get their rotations. I'm playing the game right now, and I'm always terrible at this because I'm not paying attention. So it's not going to be good for me. I think I may have just lost a character. Because I'm not doing the thing correctly, but we'll talk about that. But I imagine, so I
think I warned you about that before you started streaming too.
You did. Well, and it's just I can't multitask. The thing I've seen a lot is, okay, well, you got to pull on Keiss. We've seen the you can skip half of Lufania. Black Cloud did a wonderful video going through that graphic that was posted online. You can skip all these Lufania characters because you have Keiss. Well, not really. You still have to pull a lot of good characters, including a lot of good bursts, to do what those people did. But he does enable people really well. So he is a good character. I mean, he's a great character. But I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. So that's kind of where I am. I mean, we're going to say, yeah, he's great. You should probably get him. He's a wonderful thing to have in your toolbox. But I think we're going to see a lot of posts here in the next week. Keiss sucks. Keiss isn't doing as much damage as Aranea. How do you play Keiss? Jin Lee did a how to play Keiss video. So check that out, Jin Lee's channel. But yeah, it's problematic. So yeah. Keiss, any other thoughts on Keiss?
I am done with thoughts on Keiss, but Mino Spillgood has some thoughts he wants you to read out for him, Mark, if you look in our chat on
Lord.
Discord.
Let me see. All right, so Mino Spillgood, our co-host who can't be here, has to hard disagree with Ink. I hate to feed into the hype of a meta character, but Keiss is truly special among the dozen or so good characters in this batch. Unlike the others we have and will cover, he has no counterpart. While Arciela is a Frankenstein of good mechanics we've seen before, Keiss is completely unique and is essential part of launch comps. He gets to see use every time a new launch character comes out, and they come back in current JP. Tonberry Troupe sucks. I would truly recommend pulling for him for everyone as an ace up your sleeve if he wasn't permabanned as a friend and party member for all TCC challenges from now into LDBT era. 0 out of 10. There we go.
He's still going to be banned in LDBT, I think.
Yeah, he might be. No, and that's right. I mean, that's the reality, and that's Black Cloud walks through all of those fights, and Noctis and Keiss work really good if you have Noctis as LD and BT. Cloud and Keiss work really good if you have Cloud's BT, LD. Amidatillion, I mean, the Lael, Amidatillion, and Keiss work well together. They're all from the same game. I'm sure Belle will work great too when she comes out. They just synergize really well. You see Lightning working with Keiss. You see Dark Knight Sessa with his LD working with Keiss. There's a couple other ones. Yeah, Noctis is the big one.
I mean, they keep like Ramza is a launcher in JP, right? So I mean, every time a launch character gets released, Keiss just enhances what they do. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of good for him, but he is not required. I will fight that. But I do like what Mino said in terms of having an ace up your sleeve, is that he will allow you with good team building to bypass maybe if you get frustrated with content at some point. Like Porum, for me, this was Porum, right? Porum I left her at base EX for months. And then I got to what was it, like some of the pathos levels that the Spark Eyes was so annoying, and I built Porum up, and she worked for me, and she was my ace up my sleeve. And being able to pull out a very flexible character and build around them to bypass a really difficult level, I think has sort of intangible value if you want that. So I will agree with Mino there, but half of what you just read, Mark, I will hard disagree with, because Mino spouts nonsense as much as possible.
It's true. Wait, wasn't he saying how terrible Keiss was last week? I forgot what his rant was.
Yeah, I think he said Keiss was terrible last week, so he did a quick 180 there.
Overrated for sure. No, I mean that's kind of where I come. All of the things I've said on social media, and all the people overhyping Keiss without any context. I mean, that's my problem. He's good. He's good, right? He's really good. And I think Mino's right. He has a unique niche that no one else does. He enables launch. He is really good at it. He is really good in launch, as you're seeing, even though I might die here. But it's not press button win, right? I mean, he's not that character. So if you're gonna, Masalino says, why would I pull for a character I've never heard of? Yeah, because everybody says you should pull. Masalino, isn't that why you pull? That's the. So hey, well, let's talk about the chaos fight, which I've
already hit my limit of characters I pull for that are just because they're meta this month. I pulled Arciela.
That
was it.
You guys, oh come on! Everyone loves Keiss and Arciela. There's got to be some fan fiction out there that ships them from their favorite games and all of that. I'm sure that it's out there somewhere. You just have to look hard enough.
Right. So let's talk about the chaos fight, Keiss, if you want to walk us through to the other side.
Sorry, I'm looking for Keiss Arciela fanfic. Now you got to give me a sec.
There's some pictures.
I found a site that might not be PG-13, so I'm going to back out.
I will urge our listeners to create fanfiction if you find some time.
So for those of you watching this live, you saw Mark getting beaten up a little bit by this chaos fight, but let me explain it for those of you who have not been watching it live. This is a 2-wave chaos fight. I think it has a relatively low turn count. It's 90 turns. It's a high score requirement, but remember, all the boosted characters can launch, with the exception of Alphinaud. It's a 730,000 score requirement. The first wave is 2 Cray Claws, which are weak to lightning, absorb water. They do a mix of melee and magic attacks. Big things to watch out for is they can inflict a max HP down debuff. That sticks around for a few turns. Be careful, because if you have that on a character and that you go into a turn where they recover from break and target someone that has that, you can surprisingly just die immediately. So be careful. But they're not the big thing. The second wave, the Biosouls, the Crayclaw enemies for Keiss's event actually have Keiss's mechanic. What's the tell that they do ink again? What's it called?
I think it's called craving energy is when you see that pop
Okay.
up. Yeah.
So they have a lot of the same mechanics as the Crayclaws do, but every once in a while they'll do a thing called craving energy. And on their next turn, what they will do is an ability called Sylvan Union. They will attack one of your allies, and then they will move their next turn to right after their ally's turn. Their ally's turn will change so that they will drastically battery the one who did the union attack, and then most likely that one that did union attack will one-shot someone if you do not reduce their brave drastically or find a way to split their brave apart, their turns apart. The thing about the union is that you cannot delay their turn using breaks until you launch them after they do the union. So you have to bring someone to delay, you have to bring someone to launch, or you need to find someone to keep their brave down. And these things are immune to sap and poison. So keep that in mind. And they're also immune to speed down and turn rate down. So a lot of the ways you deal with it are shut down. I
Like
actually
all of
had to
Zidane's and
reset a couple of
Alphinaud's.
times and eventually bring a tank to deal with this mechanic because I did not understand initially what the tell was for when they were going to do this, and I kept getting one shot without a chance to react. Um, and as you've probably seen if you're watching this live, Mark has taken a couple of hits on snow where he's had to heal it back up.
Yeah, unfortunately, Alphinaud and Zidane are synergy, and they resist all their their effects, which is really
They don't resist
crappy.
all their
No, not everything. No,
several of them, which is obnoxious.
And all of Yda's effects, I will say.
Yes, all of
Oh,
Yda's
yeah, no.
effects.
Not a fan.
Masaleno in chat is saying that the fight mechanics are poorly displayed, and I agree. I was chatting with him earlier today when he was doing this on stream, and I was talking to him about it. Basically, he was agreeing with me that it's not obvious. The cue for when they're about to do it is not as obvious.
Yeah,
So
I
the big
mean,
thing is you got to watch for when they're doing craving and when they're going to do Sylvan Union. The problem is there's nothing in game to tell you that the craving is the cue for when they're going to do Sylvan Union and when they're going to become dangerous.
yeah, if you delay one and separate them, there have been some very liberal team comps. If you get around this, I used Zack as my tank, and I ran him with Sabin and Cyan. No support, no healer, no battery, no nothing, and still got through it. And I think that speaks to if you can counter the Sylvan Union, the bosses don't really have any interesting mechanics in terms of they don't have any AoE HP attacks. They have a single target HP attack, and they have an AoE brave attack. But if you separate them after they say craving energy, like if you're using lightning or any other delayer that's out there, Leo, if you separate them, you'll give yourself, a couple turns to try to launch one. And I think it's good if you have like Fujin is obviously good, but you have to be able to save their launch. So you have to persistently keep the launch up on one of them for when you want to use it. So you can't use her EX and then burn the launch right away because then they might do craving energy and then you don't have access to launch. So you have to be a little bit careful about that. I know Slide did like Fujin, Cypher, and Laguna. So I mean that also no support. I don't know. I guess Laguna is sort of support. He batteries and has an aura or something. But I mean, very limited team comps can get through this if you counter specifically the Sylvan Union thing.
Yeah, friend Keiss apparently works real well. So
Yeah, what did Vayne Novus get? Vayne Novus of our troop got 18 turns, I think.
Well, I just did 52 turns, and my Keiss had tons of skills. I didn't use any of his AAs. He still had like two versions of his skill 2 without using any of his AAs. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah. What did he do? Keiss, friend Keiss, and who else? Do you know?
Oh, he did Alphinaud, Aranea, and Keiss.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I think he was
Aranea and Keiss
surprised that
work
Alphinaud was
real well
better.
together too.
Yeah, I think he was surprised that Alphinaud was more efficient than Ramza.
Yeah.
From a free turn perspective.
Right.
Just because the amount of damage that he can deal, and he still has some free turns from his EX, just was the difference. Obviously, he's also boosted here, so he's a monster. But I mean, he's a monster even when he's not boosted.
So are
Regardless
we?
of what
One
I
thing I
may
will
have
say is that
mentioned.
there's a lot of ways to get around these bosses' mechanics. I was trying to brute forward to sit without any of those on my first run through, which caused some frustration on my part. I had no last stand characters. I didn't understand what was triggering their mechanic. So even though I had a launcher, I didn't know when to time it and when to prepare to separate their turns apart, which screwed me over. And I eventually just had to bring a tank to deal with the mechanic.
All
Yeah, I
right.
feel like if
Well,
someone brings 3 last stand characters and one of them has a burst heal like Aerith, yeah, you'll be fine.
we do have the TCC challenge for this particular fight. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Keiss, could you walk through this for us?
Sure, the TCC challenge for this event is the boosted characters Keiss, Zidane, Cloud, Alphinaud. Along with that, we will be banning the tanks Snow, Zack, Galuf. We will also be banning Beatrix and Freya because they trivialize their dangerous HP attack. Freya can give AoE last into the party. Beatrix, because of her HP damage mitigation from her HP plus after her EX ability. We're also getting rid of delayers Lightning, General Leo, and Vayne because you can delay the one that's about to go into Sylvan Link for a long time. And also Arciela and Aranea, because we're always going to be banning Arciela and Aranea going forward for a long time. So just expect those for a while. It's a pretty beefy ban list, but I suspect that people will be able to get through this just fine because there's still a lot of there's still going to be plenty of characters with last stand available to get through. We still have a lot of supports available. We still have characters like Fujin available that can get through. There's plenty of options here. And we have an extreme challenge too. Ink, do you have any thoughts on this TCC challenge before I announce the extreme challenge?
I am shocked to see a banned Freya. I never thought it would happen.
We were discussing this on the TCC challenge, and one of the things that came up was, Freya trivializes this mechanic, right? Because she gives you AoE last stand, so everyone can survive the one-shot mechanic. And everyone was like, yeah, that's true. What if we just, ban her? All of a sudden, no more AoE last stand mechanic. So there you go. Yeah, it shuts that down. So there you go. It's the same reason Beatrix got the ban hammer this time. She does the exact same thing because once you know the one shot's coming, she can time it. Yeah, there you go. A couple of Masalento's favorite characters got banned for once. I don't think the banner image for the TCC Extreme Challenge is ready just yet, but I will announce that too. So you can leave this up, Mark.
Okay.
And the Extreme Challenge for this event will be a slightly less restrictive ban list. The restricted ban list will be no boosted characters, so no Cloud, Zidane, Keiss, or Alphinaud, no Arciela, no Aranea, no friend Aranea. And that's it for bans. Except for one little nuance. You can only use 2 characters. Only 2 characters to complete the Extreme Challenge. So you have to have 1 empty slot in your party. Have fun, guys.
Yeah, good luck, everybody, on the TCC challenge there. So, and the TCC challenge X-TREME. Remember, DecidiaInfo.com. You can go to Reddit, look for Macnol's Call to Arms, C2A. Submit any of your videos. Hey, if you have any runs, obviously my Keiss, Zidane.
Oh, by the way, I want to make it clear there are no summon bans. Have fun with any summon you want. You do not have to use Chocobo. You do not have to use Mog. But you have to have one empty friend. You have to have one empty unit slot.
Yeah, so the only friend, so in that one, is there any friend restriction or just friend Aranea is restricted?
Friend Aranea banned. Otherwise, you can bring any friend you want.
Okay, so,
yeah.
All right.
And if you want to blame someone for the idea, Ink gave us the idea for this challenge.
I think it's delightfully torturous. I will not be attempting it.
Yes, so you can bring Keiss as a friend.
Oh, no, you can bring a Keiss friend, but you cannot bring him in your party.
You cannot bring him in game, but you can bring him as a friend, and those are good 5 turns.
Oh, so. Yeah. Lightning is fine for this challenge. You can bring Lightning for the extreme.
All right, well, good luck. Macnol's Call to Arms, DecidiaInfo.com. Any of your runs, if you record them, you can just record it right on your phone, send it in. We'll happy to share any of those runs. I think that's good for the game. It's good for the community. But yeah, if you want to do the TCC challenge, there it is. So good luck. Hey, we're not done with content. We also got Dimensions and Entropy Tier 12. So, Keiss, are you going to walk us through what Tier 12 brought us? We didn't talk about this beforehand. Or do Inkwelder or myself?
Do you want me to, or do you want to
cover Tier 12?
Yeah.
I can certainly talk about it.
Sorry for throwing this at you spontaneously. I didn't think about it ahead of time, but I can cover it if you don't want to.
No, it's fine. I've done it a couple times, but with the same team. I've also tried a lot of different teams, just experimenting with it. This entropy requires that you have some level of either dispel or HP damage protection, and likely with that gravity. So the bosses in the first wave, it's the Agrius boss, the Argent Efficient, and then it is next to the Vayne horse, which is just cruel. 2 punishing bosses next to each other. The Vayne horse doesn't buff itself very much, not notably so. Nothing that you must get rid of. However, the Argent Efficient will rise up on its on its first turn. It'll cleanse all its debuffs, all of them, including frame debuffs. So if you lock them on with your tank, it will get dispelled immediately. It floats up. It gives itself all sorts of buffs, including brave damage resist and speed up. It gains a ton of brave. With a brave damage resist means it's very difficult to break. Basically it sits up there and either does a very strong magic attack that will break. Even if you were at max brave, it'll probably break you unless you have a defensive team comp, or it will just do an HP attack. And at the HP attack, it sits down and goes into its normal routine. The problem is the first couple turns of this fight. The Efficient floats up, and you have to deal with its brave gain and all of its buffs. And the horse, it attacks you. It cleanses its generic buffs right up front. But then it will, right after that, go into, what is it? Black Lightning, White Thunder, Black Lightning, something like that. It does 2 brave hits into an AoE HP attack, combined with the fact that you have to shave the Agrius Knight down. Your team can get really spent. So that's why for this specific event, to get rid of those buffs, Arciela and Vayne are incredibly popular. Oh, also, this resists all physical damage. So you will need to imperil enchant to get through that. Otherwise, you're going to be bringing magic-based units only, which can be difficult. Thankfully, when this came out, Vayne's actually, I think she's still up. Arciela may have just gone away, but both these characters, popular characters for the tier, were available, which is certainly nice and unique for once, that you could pull the character to help you with it if you were really frustrated. There certainly were clears, plenty of clears that did not have those units. They generally involved characters that had huge amounts of HP damage mitigation, such as Porum, Edge, Beatrix. I'm probably missing some. Freya is popular if she's paired with Fujin. Fujin's popular in general because she just came out and she does have the Imperil enchant, and so you can pair her with a dispeller like Cyan and go through. I think this is probably one of the most punishing entropies, but just the first wave of it. The second wave is also difficult. It's 2 Gilgamesh bosses, the Weapon Keeper. They do allow debuffs. That's different than the Gilgamesh event in Lost Chapter. You can debuff them. But they will open with an AoE HP attack, which gains them a ton of Brave that you have to shave right away. They will also buff themselves with Brave damage resist into massive Brave gains, like 50k plus in the first time they buff, and really it's all about keeping them shaved. That's the main thing, is you've got to be able to break them, because after they do that huge energy boost, they will HP attack you no matter what. That is where Arciela is really helpful. She shuts down the HP attacks. You can actually lock them there. So if you saved enough skill 2s for Arciela and you manage to get through the first wave, you can just keep them there, and they will never be able to take a turn because they will want to HP attack you. But it does tax both of Arciela's skills. Her skill 1 dispels, and her skill 2 locks them down. So you have to be really careful with using her. But in general, last stand characters are great. You should probably use 2 healers because of all of the insane HP damage. The first wave is certainly more difficult. Second wave is only difficult if you run out of dispels or you run out of the ability to shave. And I may not have mentioned Exdeath, and he is amazing for this.
I used him in tier 12. Yeah, we what was I going to say? I have no idea what I was going to say.
Something about Exdeath and his ability to, he can just use his skill and just neuter their Brave even without dispelling, which is why, like, he and Porum together, you're double tapping, right, on HP damage evasion or mitigation. But this tier is annoying enough that it's probably worth it.
Yeah, I was going to say that Arciela's banner is no longer available, but the Fujin Vanille banner is available till the 24th U.S. time. Or no, that's just regular game time. So, yeah, so you can pick those 2 characters up. Obviously, Vanille had a lot of uses in this. I did use Exdeath, Arciela, and Aerith. You can see all 3 purple here on the screen right now. I'm not going to run it again for you because I have no desire to ever touch this tier again. So that's why these 3 characters are sitting there. They're not going off at any time soon. So good chance. Hey, Resfoin is on. How you doing? But
there certainly is a damage check for this. So, for example, I stomped this at first with Arciela, Vanille, and Aerith. That team can't die. That team is amazing for this, but it's also very wasteful on your characters. I reset it basically right away and tried to run, instead of Arciela, I used Celes, going Celes, Vanille, and Aerith, and they did not have enough damage to keep up. Basically just kept going over turn count by probably about 7 to 8 turns. So they need a bit more juice. So there certainly is a damage check. You can't just, and that's why this is so hard, you can't just counter the base mechanics. Also, Alphinaud is amazing for this, but he can't be your solo healer. He does not heal enough to be able to get through this. I was testing him for the sake of this being on the getting covered in the episode. There's no way you can, not no way, but it's very difficult to get Alphinaud through this as your solo healer. Like Alphinaud, Vanille, and a third. You're probably going to struggle because he just struggles to keep up with all the healing that's required for all the HP damage here. I'm sure someone will prove me wrong.
No doubt. Keiss, are you up to 12 yet?
Yes, I am. I actually did it a day or two after it dropped. The first wave was the real wall for me. I ended up because I was trying to run it with just Arciela as my healing. The team, or I guess I had Alphinaud too, but I was trying to run this with Alphinaud, Arciela, and Fujin as my third. I was having a lot of trouble with the spike AOE HP damage coming in from the White Quilin in the first wave, and just keeping the debuffs on them and keeping the buffs off them, and keeping the brave damage or the brave under control. They would just generate braves so quickly, and they would just unload damage so monstrously that I had a lot of trouble keeping it managed. I think what I said when I finally beat it was that I ended up with a maxed out score, but Arciela was out of ability uses on the second wave. Both of the bosses died at the same time, and I was on the last action I could take before they rebuff themselves. And if I did not kill them at that point, I was not going to be able to get through their buffs again before they killed me, was what I said. So it was either I kill them or they killed me with the battle strategy I was using at the time.
All right. Well, let's move to some questions. I think we have some time. Do we have some questions that you want to share, Keiss?
How many questions do we want to cover this week without Mino here?
Yeah, whatever you feel up to. I think there was
let's
a
cover these
question
because we've been asked on them a couple times.
Yeah.
By Meow DFFOO.
Yeah.
Question for the crew: do you think content creators, intentional or otherwise, negatively affect the community's perception of a character when they themselves do not care for the character? I've seen a fair amount of content creators in the past, but especially now, tend to leave less than stellar reviews when they themselves won't pull for the character, but hype the characters they want to pull for. I feel as though this does a disservice to the community, as some characters won't get a fair shake regardless if they're bad or not, and won't get used because people rely on these opinions to influence their choices. Should content creators strive to be objective in their should you pull videos?
I think that's just completely against the nature of should you pull. I think if they were objective, then they wouldn't get views. That's the entire nature of should you pull. You want to hype characters to get views, right? I mean, you're not doing yourself any favors if you don't hype the character or not hype. You kind of have to take it as entertainment, right? If you're watching should you pull videos for in-depth information about every single character, that's probably not the best thing. If you want opinions, now the thing that really ticks me off is when people say you should pull. Mino and I have gone back and forth about this. When you say, hey, you should pull this, and then they don't pull that character, or this character's great, but then I'm skipping. When I make videos, I try to tell you what I'm doing just so you know what I'm doing. Not you should or not. Obviously, I think Ink has a good perspective on this too, but yeah, I kind of watch them for entertainment, and I like the ones that are a little quicker and, hey, this is what the character does. Is it good? Yes, but very truthfully, it's one of my least favorite formats of, game material that is out there, the SYP videos. Jin Lee's videos, which are the how to play videos that he does, I think those are some of the more useful videos. Black Cloud's videos where he talks about upcoming particular content. I enjoy poll videos. The poll battle videos I think are fun. That's good content. Just kind of talking about upcoming things is fine. And a lot of the should you polls are just that, but they're often fairly long. And it's often that's the only information that a character, just to step back a little bit. There's a lot of people who are playing this game who don't listen to anybody, don't watch anything. They're not on Reddit. They're not on Discord. They're just playing the game. That's probably the majority of players. Now, there are another group of players who really kind of flock to one source. Maybe they just go to Reddit. Maybe they're on main cord or a Discord. Maybe they follow one content creator. We have an audience, you're listening right now, a very large audience who just listens to us as a podcast, and we are really their source for information. So that's a reality. And so there's a lot of people who really look to one content creator or one source for their information. And so in that sense, I would hope that all the content creators would be careful in their analysis, be careful in their takes and their research. But it takes a lot of time and energy to get out all of these SYP videos. And there probably isn't the time to do the research that they need to do. I mean, Ink can talk about the kind of work that Tonberry Troupe does. And again, the videos, the Keiss videos, I'm sure are passing 10,000 views because he's so hyped. And so that's good for your content. That's good content creation. And so you're going to do that, even though it's not going to be beneficial to people. And that's why I always say, think for yourself, do your own research, enjoy the content that's out there. Maybe you'll get an opinion. That's why we have several hosts and guest hosts, because you get different opinions. But yeah, I think in a lot of ways, a lot of our content creators and a lot of our Facebook groups, all the Facebook groups, and a lot of, people just on Discord, on Reddit, do disservice to everybody. Somebody comes on and says, hey, is this character good? And everybody, gives their takes. And I mean, on the flip side of that, that's what people are looking for, right? The SYP videos wouldn't be popular if people didn't want to go on YouTube and say, should I pull for this character? Because that's what they want. They don't want to do the research. They don't want to learn how to do it. What's the best character to get through the game? So, okay, I'm done talking. Ink, you have anything to say?
I mean, I tend to have a lot to say about this, but I will say that there are some content creators out there that say it depends a lot. I know Lids does this. Does this quite a bit, it depends. Do you need this? Because that's ultimately what it comes to. The problem is that the game has such a high complexity level, right? But I was sitting chatting with someone today who was stuck on entropy, and you know what? They pulled Keiss, they pitied him, and they were like, "Hey, can I use him in this team comp for entropy? I think it was 10." And it's like, well, no, not in that team comp. You need a healer. What healers do you have? Oh, I don't have any healers left. I used all of them. Well, great. You're not getting through that content. There's no way you're beating entropy tier 10 without some form of healing in one way or another, right?
Which
Keiss
means
or
that
not.
person might be waiting for a couple weeks until they can pull out a banner with a healer.
Right, exactly. Like, hey, make sure you save for. There's plenty of great characters coming up. Alphinaud being probably one of the more more
there's
buzzed
Aranea
about.
coming up. There's Alphinaud.
Yeah.
Who else is coming up in the next month that can heal? Raijin has healing coming up, right?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't know if he does. I haven't done my analysis yet on Raijin, but I mean,
Oh yeah, Charlotta's coming up.
yes, he
Raijin,
is.
Charlotta. There's almost every banner next month will have healing.
A lot of healing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, right? If you blow your stash on banners this month because June was so hyped, and maybe you got Arciela, great, but Fujin doesn't heal, Keiss doesn't heal, Alphinaud doesn't heal enough, and so you might be lacking from entropy. Is ultimately your roster test, right? You can probably pull a bunch of characters, any ones that you want. You'll probably get the required rolls just by pulling. There are people that only have like 2 tanks though that skip snow, and hey, going through chaos with just 2 tanks is pretty difficult, right? If you just have like Zack and Bosch, let's say, well, there's going to be content that doesn't cater to those 2 tanks, right? That you might want another tank available. You have to be able to balance content creators that do should you pull. You bridge there's a line between information that you're sharing, you're trying to be informative, and you're also trying to be entertaining. So I think that if you're going to let's say assume things or guess things or oh, I did a YouTube search and I couldn't find any Zidane videos, so he's awful. He is a terrible character because I searched YouTube and I couldn't find any results. That is not why a character is bad by any means. And I feel like people need to bridge that in. If you want to be entertaining, that's awesome, please. I think entertaining content for DFFOO is actually very entertaining. I watch a good bit of it for sure. But if you're not investing in a character because you don't know a lot about them and you haven't seen, you talk to people and people said, oh yeah, they're terrible. I mean, I did research on Sabin extensively. Everyone said he was awful, and I've done 35 chaoses in a row with him. I mean, it just shows how much we have foresight, which is amazing, and I love the foresight. Obviously, I've built planners and everything, and it's great, but it only goes so far, right? And you have to be able to look into it yourself. So here I'll at least shout out ootracker.com. If you haven't gotten on ootracker, I highly recommend it. It lets you visualize all your entropy clears in your roster. And I think that it's extremely helpful in doing that roster check to see what you're lacking, which will help you plan your polls. So I'll end on a nice positive note, but I think that that's ultimately what you need to try to do is use entropy as your test bed, or just be misled by should you polls.
I guess I'll wrap this up by just saying that should you pull videos should not be your only source of information for this game. The game is so complicated nowadays that just seeing is this character the tip top of the meta is usually not the best way to go, because there's a lot of characters that are not tip top of the meta that fill holes in your roster that you might discard or discount otherwise. For example, Zidane is a very strong character that a lot of content creators said seem to be discarding because Keiss seemed to be the winner of the banner. And if you were going to compare them one to one and say one character is better than the other in possibly more situations, and potentially you can say, yes, this character is going to have strengths that might be better in certain situations, and Keiss has strengths because he is unique. You can say certain things, but Zidane is a very strong character, and that's the reason Ink and I went on for so long about this during tonight's podcast. So I just want to make it clear that you should try to the idea is do some research, look at what the character does, see why people are saying they're bad. Don't just take their word for it. If someone says a character's bad, and then you look and you say, okay, is the character bad because their damage is very low, they don't keep up, there's something inherently wrong with their kit. For example, and this is a bad example, but it's the first thing that's coming to the top of my head. Alphinaud is bad because he cannot get broken ever, and there's a lot of all attacks upcoming in the next month of content that he cannot avoid, and he's going to be very likely broken, which means his carbuncle mechanic is always going to be shut down. Well, that's a big problem, and he's going to have a problem. He's going to be dealing with that for a long time. It's not actually true, but it's a hypothetical situation you can think of, and it's going to be a problem for Alphinaud. And that would be coloring people's thoughts on Alphinaud. So that's my opinion. Just it's okay for should you pull videos not to be objective, but look elsewhere for information if someone says this character might not be the best, if you're still interested in them.
Well, and I think that's the point. You know, if you don't care about Zidane, you're not going to invest in Zidane at all, so who cares? But if Zidane's a favorite of yours, or if you're missing that particular, or if you already had him and you don't want to pull, you don't have resources to pull for Keiss, or on this banner, don't necessarily dismiss the character, but definitely if a character is your favorite, even if that character is Fang or Zell, we've had a couple of Preesh, a couple other kind of crapola characters here in Chaos Realization era, but even that, there's probably some way to make those characters work. I mean, we've gotten through a lot of characters, maybe not all of them, but or for a time at least, maybe not for 3-4 months, but building around them and learning how to play. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of echo, chamber in terms of, there was something I think in chat about, just, what's wrong with having different opinions. There's nothing wrong. That's why we have several co-hosts, because we want different opinions and we don't always agree. And that's why we have a great community. But there's kind of an echo chamber when it comes to a lot of the should you poll kind of articles and posts. And, I'm using content creator in a broad stance. So, the should you poll is in existence on Discord, on Reddit, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch. I mean, we're talking about dozens, if not hundreds, of kind of SYP, and I do keep my eye on that kind of stuff. So, but it's again, so not everybody was saying Zidane sucks, but everybody was saying, easy skip, easy pass, or just not even talking about him really at all. Which, with
Everyone's
these,
an easy skip.
Yeah, which doesn't seem to do the character fair, but it is what it is. Well, I think we're probably out of one question, Meow Defo. Glad we're able to answer that. But that's going to be
question to unpack. But
yeah, that's going to be it
for a few weeks.
And it is. I mean, again, and it's why we do what we do, and we've been doing it for 107 episodes. I think I said on Jin Lee's video, Broadway and the Crystal Chronicles are the two eldest content creators who are still making content on a weekly basis. Broadway started a little bit before us because he played JP, and there were other content creators who were around back then as well. But in terms of people who have been around over 2 years who are making content every single week, we are the two that have kind of stuck around. That's why we do what we do. Because there's a lot. Yes, Masaleno, I am sorry. You've been around a long time as well. I know there's some others. And we try to hype Masaleno and share him as well. We love watching him do his cool stream. So anyway, let's look ahead to what's coming up. Oh, we don't know. Because we have the next Squex community stream on Monday the 22nd. So check that out on Twitch, the Squex community stream. We are anticipating Act 2, Chapter 9, Alphinaud Lost Chapter, Elden Arsh event, a special campaign, maybe a summer campaign, Dimensions and Entropy Tier 11, Alexander Ultimate Trials, Charlotta LC, and Trey event, all before LDBT, likely another Squex community stream. Thank you. Make sure you...
the only thing to correct is you said Entropy Tier 11. It's Entropy Tier 13.
Whatever. We go backwards. Isn't that how it works? You go down into the abyss?
Let's, since you mentioned 13 just for a second, if you didn't know, and a lot of people may probably do, but there are potential rewards that we might get with the release of Entropy 13. It's a tiered reward system. We may not get it. They may hold it back for us for a different type of event at a different time. But what JP got with the release of Entropy 13 is that if you did clear up to Entropy 13 and you completed it, you got 29,500 gems, 4 ingots, and 4 books, which is insane.
Which would be great.
And very helpful for all the popular characters. June and July is loaded, right? With lots of popular characters or strong characters, I should say. Keiss is not popular outside of the FFOO, but certainly
not like my favorite character, Elden Arsh.
Yeah, of course. El Nacho, I call him Hand Cereal. So we'll see if that takes on. Maybe I'll put that pronunciation on the website for people. But it would be a good time now to try to make your way through the entropy stages so that you don't feel stressed if they do drop those rewards. They very well might not, but if they do, it's nice to be prepared with it. And if you're struggling with it, hop on Discord, hop in the TCC Discord, and there's so many players that would love and actually probably enjoy helping you plan out all of your runs. So,
well, we appreciate all of you listening. Inc, how can we check out what the Tonberry Troupe is doing, and is there anything you want to share about recent projects or upcoming projects?
So we did basically finalize our new template for BT and LD, which is exciting. It will get released with Squall when it drops.
You damn well
but
better
there's-
release it. I know he wasn't the
Squall
first
will-
LDBT you were working on, so.
no, he was not. We needed awful kits to test with, but you can find all of our work at tonberrytroupe.com. We do have an infographics by role page if you haven't seen that. It's actually, a lot of people have used it. I didn't make it for this intention. I made it because I wanted to know who had last stand, but it grew out of control. It's actually a pretty reasonable check if you want to know, like if you grab a couple characters from every category, you probably will have a balanced roster from that. So we're working on, I'm working on a buffs and debuffs page as well for people, because basically Zidane inspired this specifically because I want to give people an idea how they can stack their speed down debuffs as optimally as possible. And so I think that'll be really nice to have it all on one page. So we're working on some very cool things. I think people will be excited about BTLD. There's a lot of changes, obviously, that we had to make to afford the space, not only for BT and LD, but all the calls, like just the amount of complexity that are in kits. We have to be able to fit it and also still make it approachable for new players, right? So that it's not just an advanced graphic that someone looks at and has no idea. So it should be, I think it's getting more complex in some areas and simpler in others. And I think people will really like it. Dreamy and I spent significant amounts of time on it and got feedback from a lot of our trusted circle that helped with everything. It's been great. So yeah, check out tonberrytroupe.com. And if you want to see Sabin run in chaos for 5 more runs, you can check out my YouTube channel. He will stop after Alexander because he will get locked out finally after 40 chaoses, if I get that far. But I am youtube.com/Inkwelder. So you can check that out too.
Well, you can check us out at tccpodcast.com. You can find all of our links to social media there, in the show notes on YouTube, in the show notes on the podcast apps, actually, and also here on Twitch. I just updated the Twitch splash screen, so you can find all of our links there and the links to our Discord as well. Just a few shout outs. Thank you to Keiss and Ink. Thank you to Mino. He's been in the chat with us tonight. His internet has been acting up. Thanks to our mod team, Arodli, who's on lately on YouTube. Inkwelder J.A, Jin Lee, who's on YouTube, Macnol, DecidiaInfo.com, Quetz from Materiabot, Serah, who is, of course, the Don of Reddit, and Strafe, who's on YouTube, and Black Cloud, who is Black Nero on YouTube as well, who has a great couple videos recently as well. Thanks to Dreamy to doing our intro video, Jin Lee, who does all of our backgrounds, emotes, Hey13, who did our intro narration, and Ryan is the Bomb, who did our intro music. And, of course, thank you to our co-founder, Pierre. Pierre and I founded this many years ago, back in the FFRK days, but now I hate FFRK. So, no, it's not true at all.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? No, I love that game. It's a great game. All right, hey, friends, for episode 200, skipping ahead, to episode 107, recorded on the 18th of June. This has been Mark, Ink, and Keiss, wishing you all the best of luck, and goodbye.